So, an update on me running for Congress. For those of you who don't know, there was a Republican who won a seat in District 12 of Pennsylvania named Tom Marino, who resigned a couple weeks after winning that seat to work in the private sector. And now there's going to be a special election, and I'm running for District 12 for the House of Representatives. I'll be running as a Republican. There's no primary. It'll be kind of the Republican, the people in the committees in that district will put forth who they want, and the Democrats will do the same, and then any independents or whatever that'll run will have an election date that'll be set where there'll be a general election between all of those. Now, realistically, the Republicans won this seat basically by 30%, so they'll probably win it again. I've had some contacts with a lot of people, and I'm working towards it. So the first big thing to know is there's a state committee meeting going on this weekend in Hershey, Pennsylvania. I sadly won't be able to be there, but I wouldn't be able to talk much anyways there. That's going to be in part setting up the timeline for this. And this state committee meeting, by the way, is for the Republicans. It'll be setting up the timeline for when to have people speak, when to each committee member will get to vote on who they want to put forth as a Republican representative. I've contacted a lot of people from different committees that have given me information which said that they're trying to set up a time where there'll be a meet and greet where everyone who's running for the office will be able to go in one centralized location for the entire district, and then committee members will be able to come to that district and hear what all each of us have to say with our policy positions and reasons for why we would seek the office. And so I've talked to a lot of people. Apparently, some of the information I've garnered is there's a lot of people supposedly running. And so it's going to be difficult for each county to invite everyone in who might want to speak to them. Because if you have 18, 20 people, it's hard to come in if you have an hour meeting once a month. What are you going to do? Have everyone speak for 2 minutes? It doesn't seem to be very worthwhile. That's why they're considering having this big meet and greet, which I hope they do. I've also talked to people. I can tell you what some of my strong points and weak points are based on talking to some of the committee members. First, let me say I'm going to be kind of vague. I'm never going to use names or anything like that, even after the election. But I don't want to talk a lot about it going into the election because I'm not trying to put anyone out. But I think after the election, win or lose, I'll have a lot to say on the process because I think that's interesting and people, more people should run. And I think it'll be helpful to people to understand how the process works. So needless to say, it's been very time consuming because I'm trying to call each county and each Republican committee to get information about them. Because it's such a rural area, it's very difficult to find a lot of website information, email information, or phone numbers for the relevant people to call. So I've been doing a lot of work trying to work with people in the Pennsylvania GOP to try to get in touch with some of these people. One of my weak points is I don't have name recognition, and there's already some people what I talk to that they've been all very polite, but a lot of them have said they already have someone in mind and that they're interested in hearing me talk, but there's probably nothing I could say to persuade them. That's fine. Everyone should vote how they want, and that's no problem at all. But that's one of the reasons I'm running. I think that it's a shame that unless you're like a multimillionaire or have some kind of connections or name recognition, that you really don't have a chance to be able to run in these offices. So that's one of the reasons I'm running in particular. Another weak spot of mine is I currently don't live in District 12. Now, Pennsylvania's been redistricted a lot since 2012, particularly in the 2016 election. I used to live in District 5. I've lived there my whole life, basically. I've kind of lived in the same 20-mile geographic area. And that used to have many of the counties that were actually in what's now District 12 be part of it. So my whole life I have lived in what is part of District 12. And if I won the nomination, I would move there. But I totally get and understand people saying, we want someone who's lived in this geographical, like the center of this geographical district for a long time. Now, like I said, my counterpoint to that is, though I totally understand that I don't think that I would represent that district any less fervently because I lived just miles outside it. And secondly, I live in rural Pennsylvania, and that area of rural Pennsylvania shares almost the exact same issues that my area of rural Pennsylvania does as well. So I think that I would still be able to represent, and certainly if I won the nomination, I would move there immediately. I can't pick up and move now because of job concerns, but I have recently obtained a master's degree and considered moving. Originally, I was considering moving to become a professor, but I don't think I'm going to do that now. So wherever I move, it'll be somewhere in rural Pennsylvania in the center of the state, whether it be District 12 or District 15 where I'm at now. Some other weak points I have of talking to people is there's a concern with raising money, and if you're watching this, maybe you got my information through email I sent you and you're a voter in District 12 or someone on the committee that might consider voting for me, I will tell you straightforward that I will be very poor at raising money. It's one of the reasons I'm running. I think that we get ourselves into trouble because candidates end up taking money from all these businesses, take hundreds of thousands of dollars, and then they're kind of beholden to them. And that's one thing that I'm trying not to do. I'm trying to go more of like the Ron Paul style of running, where I will take small individual donations from people, but I don't want to be beholden to these big businesses. I think that's one of the reasons that District 12 is kind of in the position it's in now, because Tom Marino took like $100,000 from pharmaceutical industries. Whether you think that's a good thing or not, it's legal, so that's up to you. But he was seeking to be appointed to the position of Trump's drug czar, and the optics of that ended up looking really bad, and so he wasn't appointed. Because if you're going to be working with the executive branch and looking into pharmaceutical industries and trying to solve things like the opioid crisis, the optics look really bad if you've already taken a lot of money from them. So because of that, I think that Tom Marino would have stayed, at least in government and public policy, had he not taking that money. And because of that, I think he's decided to get out and decided to go in the private sector. I think that the Democrats would be very strategic to, and will, it doesn't, I'm not like, giving any secrets away. They're going to focus on in this election, who did you put forth this time that took a bunch of money from pharmaceutical companies or other business interests? How long will it be until they resign to go work in those fields? That's what the Democrat argument's going to be. I think that even though I might not do a good job raising money, I think that's actually a benefit to me, because I'll be able to turn that around. I guarantee whatever Democrat runs against me, if I win the nomination, would have accepted more money from business than me, because I've never accepted any. Not only will I not accept money from the business, but I've never had money my entire life. And currently, still have never made more than $15 an hour my entire life. So I think that puts me closer to the average constituent of District 12, where it's not a very wealthy district. Most of the voters there, most of the constituents aren't people that are making $100,000 a year. They're more in line with what I'm doing, which is making like $30,000, $40,000 a year. And so I understand the problems those constituents go through. And because I won't be taking large sums of money or working with private sector businesses or leaving to go make tons of money in the private sector, I think that would put me in a strategic position to turn a potential negative for the Republican Party in this district into a positive. And it would give a good sign to the voters that, yeah, we're actively trying to encourage people running that aren't taking these large sums of money. So I think that although that is perceived as a weakness of mine, that actually it could be a benefit. I think so. Another thing that people have asked me is, who is my campaign manager? Have I worked with any consulting firms? I've not and will not work with any consulting firms. I do not believe on like these idea of in politics where you have these focus groups and testing your message. My message is my message. I think that I will give my policy prescriptions, my ideas for how to run. If people don't like them, I still encourage those people to go out to vote against me, vote for someone else. That's perfectly reasonable. But I'm able to be, because I'm not beholden. See, I'm not looking at this like a career opportunity. I'm looking at this as like, I want to serve the district and I want to serve the country, because I feel like we're being let down by politicians in all parties. And so because of that, I'm legitimately just saying, this is what I feel. I'm not trying to change my message to each individual audience in the hopes of getting elected. I'm going to be consistent. And because of that, it enables it to be much easier for me, in that I could just be myself. I could speak my mind, and I don't have to worry about changing message for different audiences or anything like that. I'll totally be myself. So I will not be focus group. I haven't worked with any consulting firms on image or anything like that. I am me. I think I'm a pretty genuine person. I have friends from all spectrums of life, from rural Pennsylvania, people that are like a lot of my friends around here, truck drivers, welders, farmers, things like that, to people in some of the highest levels of academia that are very intelligent people that are left-wing. I'm dealt with and have been friends with all of them, and I think one of the things that people that know me could say is, I might change my tone, like, you're not cursing or swearing in church or, in professional settings and things like that. So I might change my tone slightly, but I am who I am. I'm a pretty genuine person. I think that's a benefit to me. And one of the questions I was asked is, how will I get media out there to focus on me without raising tons of money? And I think my reason for that is I will be able to talk to direct media, such as going to talk to newspapers in each of these individuals' counties or each of the towns in these counties. And I think they'll be more than happy to talk to me. And it won't take me a lot of preparation time, because I am who I am. If you've watched my YouTube videos on here, I could ramble on for 4 or 5 hours at a time about specific policy options or thoughts I have on the country. And so it'll be nothing for me to interview like that. So I think that's another even though I don't have, and as far as a campaign manager and things like that, if I won the nomination, then I would consider looking into getting people for positions like that and getting a staff working for me full time. The last thing I'll say is I think win, lose, or draw, it doesn't matter. I would like to win, obviously. If I'm realistic, I would say my chances are slim for some of the reasons I said, that I don't have the name recognition. I don't have a lot of money. I think a lot of people have already made up their own mind. But I just want to get in a room and be able to talk with the other people that have policy prescriptions, because I am very confident that I know what I'm talking about and that I have good ideas that the average constituents in District 12 and around the country would agree with. I think I can identify a lot of the problems, and I think that even though I'm antagonistic towards a lot of kind of the more socialist identity politics direction that the Democrats are going in at the upper echelons of the party, I'm able to even reach out to people that are traditionally Democrats that maybe are also off-put by some of that, and be able to articulate why I think my style of conservatism would be of benefit to those people as well. And I think that I'll be able to reach demographics that haven't been reached, such as younger people, minorities, and women, not by having some super new packaged way of, coming up with new ideas, but by articulating why traditional conservatism is good for those groups, and which I think I'm very able to do so. And the last thing I'll say is, and I hate bragging about myself, but I think it's the nature of running for office. If I don't speak up for myself, who will? No, so the last thing I'll say is, I think I have a pretty good handle on a lot of these policy prescriptions, a lot of the problems in Washington. You have to understand, though, I work in home health care. I work basically 60 hours a week every week. This is a hobby for me currently, and I still think I have a pretty good understanding of this. In fact, I'm so confident that I think if I'm in a room with other people that are running, that my knowledge will be at least up to par with them, and I think in a lot of cases will actually be above and beyond what they do, because this is what I've done my entire adult life, through a debate, having an understanding of politics to be able to win in a competitive game, to just then being interested in politics, coming out of debate, and doing things like this YouTube channel. And so I think that if I had this as a full-time job, I would be able to be even more educated in the prescriptions and what policies needed to be done and things of that nature. So I think that that's another strong suit I have. But currently, right now, I'm waiting to hear from when the meet and greet will happen. I'm very excited because even most of the people I've talked to have been very kind, and even a lot of the Republican committee members in these various counties have told me, look, we're not going to vote for you, we already have someone in mind, have said they'd be more than willing to hear me. So regardless, even if I lose, which that's fine, maybe some of my ideas, whoever the eventual winner is, would take some of these ideas and maybe run with them once they're in Congress. So that's my hope. I'll keep people updated on what's going on with the run. There's really nothing. Some people have asked me, is there anything I could do to help with your campaign? No, not really. It's not a primary, so it's not like I'm reaching out at this point to average voter. If you live in District 12, you don't have the option to vote for me. It will be just people in these Republican committees. So I'm just going to leave it to my own devices, see what I could do talking with these people, and then we'll see what it goes from there. If I win the nomination, I would give information post then. But thanks for everyone who's been interested in this, and for all the kind words I've got from tons of people, both on the left and the right, which I think's very interesting. One of my best friends, actually someone who votes Democrat, voted Hillary, who is really cheering for me, who lives in District 12. So like that kind of support from people of all different angles really means a lot to me. So look for further updates. Like I said, when the whole process is done, hopefully I'll be able to talk more about what the process looked about. It won't be slinging mud on anyone or anything like that, but I think people will be interested to see the ins and outs of what's really going on in case maybe you'd like to run in the future. So, all right. Well, thanks everyone. If you like this video, please like and subscribe as always. And have a good one. I'll be putting more videos up today and a live stream tomorrow. Thanks.